All right, in this next section, we're going to talk about an overview of algae and slime molds. So hopefully you got an opportunity to watch that YouTube video of the importance of algae that's supposed to be board. But algae are aquatic. Aquatic means that they live in the water. Photosynthetic, so they go through the process of photosynthesis, and they're protists. Common types include the euglenoids, dinoflagellates, diatoms, golden algae, brown algae, red algae, green algae. Euglenoids are unicellular and usually heterotrophic. Some euglenoids are also photosynthetic. Dinoflagellates have two flagella and often produce toxins. I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on these dinoflagellates because these are the only ones that can indirectly cause human disease. So what happens is when we have agricultural runoff is when water runs off of farms into natural bodies of water. And what's being carried off of the farms is going to be excess nitrogen and phosphorus. So if you have any type of animals on the farm, in their urine, they're going to shed a lot of nitrogenous wastes. But additionally, if you grow crops and you're going to fertilize those crops, all of that excess fertilizer is going to be washed off the farms. So whether you're raising crops or animals, all that's going to run into natural bodies of water. That agricultural runoff and excess nutrients can cause an overgrowth, or an algal bloom is what they call it, and that's an overgrowth of algae in that water source. If the algae happens to be dinoflagellates, these dinoflagellates produce a neurotoxin, and usually we don't directly consume that neurotoxin. But if we were to eat shellfish in an area that is colonized by these neurotoxin producing dinoflagellates, then we could indirectly get sick and have muscle weakness, difficulty breathing, convulsions, and eventually the muscle weakness could prevent our heart from contracting, or it could prevent us from being able to breathe properly. So it can be pretty serious if you get exposed to those types of toxins. So the dinoflagellates produce the toxin. The snails or shellfish eat those dinoflagellates. The neurotoxin accumulates in the shellfish, and then the person eats the shellfish and ends up getting sick. Diatoms have silica cell walls and are abundant in almost all habitats. Brown algae are large multicellular protists. Kelps are the largest types, so these are multicellular, they look like plants, and they grow in natural bodies of water. Red algae have photosynthetic pigments that absorb red and blue wavelengths of light. Green algae are diverse, and they have many similarities to land plants. Here you can see that Volvox and all of these internal organisms that they believe this is kind of one of those stepping stones to multicellularity. Now moving on to the slime molds. Slime molds and water molds are heterotrophic protists that have filamentous feeding structures. Cellular slime molds, like those shown here, live as haploid cells until they become limited. Then they aggregate into a mobile slug. And this is what the slug looks like. And then the fruiting body, which produces spores. And then those spores will germinate, and then the cells feed and divide, and then they live as the haploid cells until nutrients become limiting again. Then they're going to, again, come together as this mobile slug. Cell containing thousands of diploid nuclei. The plasmodium migrates along the forest floor, engulfing bacteria and other microorganisms on leaves, debris, and rotting logs. Here's a yellow one, but these can come in all sorts of different colors, like hot pink and orange, bright colors that are obvious to people but wouldn't necessarily be obvious to animals. Water molds are decomposers and parasites of plants and animals. The filaments of water molds secrete digestive enzymes into their surroundings and absorb the nutrients. So here you can see the filaments decomposing a bug.